How many times have you practiced yours? Bill, she hasn't practiced her presentation.
Oh,
She has not practiced her presentation.
yeah, bring it.
Okay. When would be convenient for you, Bill? No, when would it be convenient for you? We're blocking times now.
Not Friday now.
No, not Friday. Yep.
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday's good.
Wednesday's great. What time on Wednesday, Bill, works for you?
7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, typically, so.
What time works for you?
9.
9.
Let's do 9.
9 o'clock on Wednesday. Okay.
Sorry, what did you say?
Barbara.
Barbara, no.
Okay. Who else has not yet practiced their listing presentation? Be honest. Thank you. What time are you doing that? Tuesday, what time? What time? I was going to say, what time's your team meeting here?
Just now. Oh, that?
11. So the team meeting that you're going to be attending here is at 11. So are you going to do it at 12?
Over lunch.
No, you don't eat while you do your presentation.
We will do it at 1 o'clock. Let me get my calendar.
At 1 o'clock. Okay, Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Okay. Have you practiced your listing presentation?
I don't know what that is.
Brand new and shiny. So on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, are you available? Good. You should come in, and Bill and Barb are doing their presentations, and you'll see how they do theirs. And then on Tuesday, you're coming to the team meeting?
Yeah.
Wonderful. After the team meeting and after you've eaten, at 1 o'clock, I'd like you to join the two ladies who are going to be giving their presentation. So you'll get to see 4 different people give their presentation, and then you'll know what yours needs to look like.
Excellent.
Okay, wonderful. Who else has not given their presentation? How many times did you practice this week?
I haven't done a listing presentation probably since my last listing.
Which was?
2 months.
Okay. Do you want to get one every 2 months, or are you working on one to get more often than that? Okay, then practicing would be perfect. When was the last time you practiced?
Myself yesterday.
With who? Okay, so that doesn't count. I love that you're doing it and videoing it. So when are you available to do your presentation together? Give to each other. What are you doing tomorrow? Are you coming to team meeting tomorrow? Wonderful. Would you like to do it before team meeting or after team meeting? After. So 12:30, 1 o'clock, which is best for you both? 12:30? Okay, so the two of you are doing your listing presentation at 12:30. Gentleman in the back with the gray flannel, don't remember your name. What's your name? Corey. Nice to meet you, Corey. I'm Lee. Corey, when was the last time you gave your listing presentation? About a month ago. Practiced any time since then? Okay, so practicing with people is probably the better way. Yeah. So when was the last time you practiced yours?
Me and Bill did it last week.
Okay, once, and
I have it scheduled. Well, I have to reschedule with Jordana.
okay, Jordana.
Because
We had kid stuff.
kids stuff.
Okay,
And I
so
have 2 neighbors scheduled this week.
wonderful. Okay, when was the last time you practiced yours?
No, practice with me.
Still developing it. So you need a practice session. Okay, so Corey, tell me your name. Corey, Kieran needs to do a practice session. What day is good for you?
Do it around team meeting somewhere.
Okay, so 1 o'clock on Tuesday? Okay, gives you all day to get yours put together. Okay, any of these people in here can help you put it together because they know what paperwork you need. Okay, and you've got an online packet that's Katie's done that's absolutely beautiful, so just do that one. It's perfect. Okay. All right, ladies, when was the last time you practiced your listing presentation? How many times this week? So once. Okay, and
I had my daughter graduation last week. She's 12 at graduation.
so you haven't done any yet? Do you know that she needs to practice also? Could the two of you set up a practice tomorrow? Would be before team meeting or after team meeting be better for the two of you? Before? 10 o'clock? Does tomorrow not work for you? Speak up. Okay, wonderful. Okay. How's Wednesday work? Wednesday? What time works? 10 o'clock on Wednesday? Okay, great. Great. No, thank you. And our gentleman who just came, who came last week, and I remember, but I can't remember your name. Ivan. Ivan? Ivan. How many times did you practice your listing presentation this week? 3 times. Who'd you practice with? Okay. How about a 3rd time with a real person? Should we do that? Okay, wonderful. How many times did you practice this week? Okay, so tell me your name again. Lucy. So Ivan, Lucy needs a practice session. Are both of you coming to team meeting tomorrow at 11? You have something better doing tomorrow, Ivan? You just have what? Oh, you could do those this afternoon. So what's tomorrow? 11 o'clock is team meeting. Would you rather, Ivan, for your convenience, do it at 10 o'clock before team meeting, or would you rather do it at 1 o'clock after team meeting? Before. So 10 o'clock work for you, Lucy? Okay, you and Lucy are up for tomorrow. Guys, this is not hard to do. But the idea that you are spending, $15,000 to $30,000 by practicing on real people breaks my heart. This was a workshop month, not a come and get entertained or beat up by Lee month. That means the things that I've asked you to do, you're doing for your benefit, your business, and not mine. So step it up and do what you need to do so you are successful. This is not real hard to do, guys. This just takes the commitment to be successful at what you're going to do. Okay, so the question I started earlier, because I was visiting with some of our folks that were earlier. And by the way, thank you all for saying yes. Thank you all for setting up your times. And thank you all for keeping your commitment to the partner that you've just committed to do a practice. That is only one practice. I'm going to recommend you do 3. Okay, how many of you have a visual listing presentation of some sort? Raise your hand. Okay, let's reverse that. How many people do not yet have a visual presentation? I know I've got a couple. Okay, my brand new shiny guy. Why don't you have one? Yes. Have you printed that up, put your picture on it, and made it yours? Why? Okay. All right. But this is a month because you were in my first class. So you knew that's what you needed to do. There's one online. It's real easy. You insert your picture, your name, your phone number. Okay. Can you get that done in the next week? For sure. Thank you. Okay. How many of you have your packet of all your documents? Reverse that. How many do not yet have their packet? Okay. We have a whole list of them in the back. Annalise? Okay. So Annalise made a list this morning with me just to make sure she wasn't missing any in her packet. So she's got the list and the order in which they flow written down on a sheet of paper. Annalise, stand up. That's what Annalise looks like. Find Annalise. You can normally spot her easily because she's got an assistant about this tall following her around. And so find Annalise, get that list. By the way, Dean has all those documents also. Okay, we've already talked about the practice sessions. 3 a week is what you should be doing, guys. That's a minimum. 3 a week. You can do that in one morning. You can do that 3 separate days. This is not hard to do, but your average commission is how much, Dean, in this office? Okay. It's a $10,000 lifesaver. Because practicing on real people, it's not real successful. And you don't get a second chance with them. So let's do our first chances here so we get every single listing we go on. Make sense? Okay. So today's class is on lists or is on open houses. We're going to be passing around today. What's our front desk lady's name? Amanda. Gosh, I love Amanda, by the way. She's been so helpful every single day for me. So Amanda's going to be passing around a sheet. She's doing it as attendance, but I've asked her to put a little check on it. And the check box is the question, do you want to be able to do open houses for other people? Are you trying to pick up buyers? Are you trying to get more listings? Is that one of the, what I think of as the legs of my stool that get my business going? I'm a big believer in open houses. They've been very successful for me. You know, anywhere from 4 to 7 a year. One year, I think I had 8, but it's a steady number of closings every year for me to do open houses. And that's been true from lots of other agents. Now, those are agents doing it my way, and we're going to teach that today. So if you are interested in doing open houses, those will be open houses. I'm going to keep a sheet of that. So if I have an open house down in your neck of the woods, I'll put an email out to those who said yes. Amanda is going to keep a copy. So every time somebody comes and says, oh, I need somebody to help me with an open house, she's going to contact you guys and say, who wants to do this open house? So it'll give you some opportunities to do some open houses. So make sure you fill that little sign-in sheet out when she brings it down, please. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, does everybody have a handout? If you don't have a handout, I see a couple here, and I've got one up here, 2 up here. So make sure you have a handout today. Okay. Do we have a spare handout sitting anywhere? Okay. Ivan, she needs, or not Ivan. Corey, she needs one. Thank you. Okay, everybody else? I made 30, so I'm hoping that's about what we have. Okay. We'll read about the handouts in a little while, but I wanted you to be able to have them so you could ask the questions and have that all in writing. So today's class is all about taking notes. So I hope you have a piece of paper. If not, write in the margins on the sheet I've given you. Everybody have a piece of paper? Anybody need a piece of paper? I'd say use Otter AI, but bottom line is then you have to retype it. So, okay. So if you look at the little chart that with the little boxes on it, the little gray one, look at the little chart. This is straight out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I don't remember what page, but it's straight out of the Millionaire Agent book, the red book. So that book talks about the different levels of open houses there are. And I will tell you, thank you for helping Bill. I will tell you that if you walk through any real estate office anywhere in America and you ask people, just as you're running into them, so what do you think about open houses? You will always have plenty of people who say, oh, open houses don't work. I don't do open houses. Yeah, they're a waste of time. You'll always have people that do that. Just like you'll have people that say there are no fish in that lake. And yet there are 40 people on the other side fishing like crazy and catching fish. So chances are the person who says, no, open houses don't work, so I don't do them, is somebody who either never did an open house and really doesn't like to work weekends, or it's somebody who did an open house or two and they put up a sign and nobody came. So, and that's really what happens if you have an unplanned or a poorly planned open house. So we're going to talk about how you do an open house that brings people to the open house. Okay. And so let's start kind of at the beginning. I believe open houses need to be posted on the MLS no later than Wednesday morning. Okay. So you could do them Monday or Tuesday, but no later than Wednesday morning. You need as much gathering of momentum as possible on an open house. For those of you who want to pick and choose open houses. When Corey says, I've got an open in team meeting, I've got a house I need held open in Pleasant Grove this weekend, and you run to see him. If you need an open house, grab his. But if you want to be selective, let's say we had 10 people who needed open houses, and Corey just happened to be one of them. I'm going to ask Corey, what's the price point? Okay. Now, if I get a home that is in a starter home situation, why would that be a good open house?
There might be lots of buyers.
Lots and lots of buyers. Many of them have not yet signed with anybody. Okay. Now, what if my SOI average price point and my past year's average price point, is $750 a house? Do I want to be in that starter home, or do I want to try to get to a higher one? I'm not answering that question because I don't know. I'm posing it to you. Okay. If I have a listing at 1.2, I might want to hold a house open in a neighborhood of 7.5 because that's the group that's going to move up. So if I'm going to do one at 450 or 500, then I know I want to go door knocking in the neighborhood of townhouses and apartments and condos because they're likely buyers coming. So everybody has a different need, and I'm saying ask yourself that need. The other thing I would caution you about, not that, if Corey has an open house and I need an open house and he's the only one that's got an open house, I'm going to take it. But I want to find out how deep into the neighborhood is Corey's open house. If it's one that I need 7 or 8 signs to get people there, 1, plan to get 7 or 8 signs, borrow them. Or 2, pick the one that Nicole has that's 3 open house signs and they're there. In other words, the deeper into the neighborhood, the harder it is to get people there. Okay, doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. I'm just saying you got a plan for it. Look on a Google map and see how many signs I'm going to need based on that address. Is there more than one way to bring them in? Maybe somebody's been doing it that way when really it'd be 3 signs coming in this way. Okay, so kind of plan that out. Tuesdays at our team meeting is typically when people are saying, hey, I need help with an open house in this place or that place. Is that what you all do here? Pardon?
We have an online or like a meeting place.
Oh, you're way.
Put on here.
Oh, you're a lot more organized than I am.
Some come out early. Most of them come out Thursday or Friday.
Oh, Thursday or Friday? Okay, for all of you who take listings, stop that. Seriously, that's way too late to be planning an open house and expect that we're going to succeed. So what is your standard for how often you do open houses? For those of you who take listings on a regular basis, what's your standard for how often you do open houses? Do you have one? First weekend. What happens after that if it doesn't sell?
Unless it goes under contract and falls out.
Mhm.
I just do it first.
Okay.
I just don't find as many people show up after that.
Okay. All right. So my standard is every other weekend unless it falls on a holiday. If it falls on a holiday, the holiday wins. General conference counts as a holiday. So that's my standard, and that's what I tell people at my listing presentation is my standard. Now, it won't always be me doing it, but it will often be me doing it. I did 2 open houses this weekend. One of my agents in my office did the one for me in my neighborhood. She had 9 people through 9 groups. And I count them by groups. So you could walk in here, with your family, and that's still just one buyer. So you come in with your agent, that's still just one buyer. So I count by groups of people. So we had 9 groups through. She picked up 2 of them. And that house has been on the market for 45 days. So
That's why I might want to do it.
and so that's okay. That's not a problem. How many people would want to do her open houses? Raise your hands. Thank you. So in every other weekend, we'll share the sheet with you. Yeah. You've always got people to do that. But especially right now, what do we call the season we're in right now? Spring. Oh, you call it spring. I call it buyer season. Okay. For the next 5 months, it is absolutely buyer season. And this is early buyer season. So many of them don't have agents. So this is the time I'd really be out doing open houses, and I'd really have my listings being held open often because it is buyer season and they're out looking. Okay. All right. So the group me thing I think is a great idea as far as, and I'm going to go back to my office and say that's a great way for us to do that. We do it at Tuesday's meeting, but no more waiting till Thursday or Friday, guys. And Dean, you can say that in your team meeting tomorrow, that they need to get way more organized than a Thursday or Friday. Hey, I need help. Yes. Tell me your name. Brittany. Thank you, Brittany.
If listings are posting new listings on Thursday or Friday, we recommend waiting for the fall weekend to go.
No. If it's a brand new listing, but I would disagree with that agent, whoever they are, and tell you that, because I've tried it all different ways, I would tell you that that new listing needs to get posted on Wednesday. Makes all the difference between a Wednesday and a Thursday. It's weird and it shouldn't, but it does. But the first weekend, whether it's that weekend, the next weekend, all of those are good.
I have a question for you about like follow-up.
Mhm.
So this Saturday I had did 2 open houses, and everyone that I reached out to said that they have an agent.
Mhm.
So I guess like how do you handle that? Do you keep reaching out to them, or do you
No.
just leave it alone?
No. So who is their agent? Pardon? Oh, did you ask? Okay. So you'll notice on the questions in the handout, you'll always know because you're going to ask. And my follow-up would be to call Katie and say, Katie, your clients, Bob and Carol, just came through my open house. They seem kind of interested. You may want to give a follow-up to them. Now, I've made a friend with Katie because Katie's loving the fact that, 1, I'm keeping her posted. 2, I'm not trying to pilfer her client. Okay? And so I get a lot of respect from a lot of realtors because that's always what I do. Okay? Now, you also may have somebody who comes in, Nicole, to your open house. This has happened to me numerous times, where they come in, I ask them who's helping them. Not do you have a realtor? I ask who's helping them with the purchase. They tell me. Often they tell me a first name and don't remember their last name. Okay? And then by the end of their time at my open house, they will sometimes say to me, well, Lee, I haven't signed anything with anybody. They gave me a name, and then at the end they say to me, we haven't really signed anything with anyone. And my response always to them, Nicole, is this. So I refuse to interfere with the agency of another realtor. It's against the law. So if you're telling me you want me to work for you, you'd need to say those words out loud.
I think that's kind of like where I'm struggling with. I didn't get the name of the agent, but honestly, I feel like a lot of people use that as an out, like ever from agents who don't try to talk to me. So how it can feel exactly for that reason. If they have an agent, I don't want to step on their toes.
So this won't happen to you anymore because you now have the question, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And that has happened. And then they say to me, well, I've got a couple of agents. 2 or 3 is usually the number of agents who are sending me stuff. But I've never met them. They don't take me out to see anything. I mean, I get that a lot, guys. Yep. Name. Robin. Thank you, Robin. Well, before I came to Utah, Sunday was the big day in almost every other state I've been in. Not as big a day here. I have done them on Sundays, but I cannot tell you that they've been really successful. I think it can vary depending on a neighborhood or an area. We do work nights, Tuesdays or Wednesdays for after work. We call it a working man's open house. The thing with the working man's open house that I've noticed, you have to decide when people are getting out of work. So if it's like a 4 to 6 or 5 to 7, so it's their drive time as they're driving by. So you wouldn't do it on lots, but you do it on ones that were easy to get to from a thoroughfare going home. And you have to do it 2 nights in a row. Because they drive past like they're normal and then they go, oh. Then the next night they're watching for it. So they're just in, robo mount, they see nothing. It's routine. So it's almost, we just always do them on 2 nights. Yeah. And they have to drive by. But the first night they'll drive by and go, oh, and keep going. The second night they're looking for it. Okay. And I've even done them where I was near an elementary school and the school got out at 3 and I would do a 3 to 5 or a 2:30 to 4:30 time and all the moms can come. I'm okay with that too. So think about the traffic patterns and when they're happening. But working mans are a two times in a row. School would not be, but the drive-by where they're driving by at 35 or 55 miles an hour, they're just not paying attention. Okay? All right. Let's get back on. Go ahead, Bill.
Let's back up to the agents at the open house. So at the open house I was doing Saturday, a lot of people came here and they were, yeah, we're working with somebody. Oh, great, but they didn't want to give any information.
It's all in the questions you failed to ask.
Right. So what are some examples of some of those questions that I failed?
See at the bottom of the sheet you're on?
These?
Those are exactly the questions. We'll get to those. Okay, but we won't get to them yet. All right. So how many of you have open house signs? How many don't? Okay. How many does the office have? Okay.
Probably about 30 or 40 from what I've seen.
Okay, 30 or 40. So until you get your own, the office has them. Here's the trick. In my office, we don't have 30 or 40. We've got a few. If you don't grab them on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, there aren't any available for you on Thursday and Friday. Yeah, so don't call me on Friday or Saturday morning and go, I don't have any signs. Well, that was bad time management on your part. So go and get your signs early. Get them in the trunk of your car. Okay. Next thing on my speed dial is Harmon's. Okay. 114 South 7th East, right by my house. I have them trained. I do. They get fudge delivery every year by me. This week I came in 15 minutes later than the time I told her because I had that agent who was doing an open house in my neighborhood. So I went and checked on her before I went to Harmon's to go to grab my balloons for my chew. And she said, oh my gosh, I was getting so worried about you. You are never late. Okay. So they know and they order for me polka dot balloons. I use polka dot balloons because they are friendly. It looks like a party. It's not intimidating. This week I had lime green and peacock blue balloons, so contrasting balloons. I've trained them to put them on a string that long. Because if you don't train them, they put them on a stick that's this long, and all that does is get tangled up. And I waste time. So they're trained on a 3-foot maximum string length. Okay? They have them ready for me before I get there. I could call them on a Wednesday and order them. They'd have me for Saturday. They know I often come early. They usually have them 15 minutes or so beforehand. They also will let me call them after hours and say, could you put a note on the door for Lauren? I need a dozen balloons. I don't have to give them my name. I don't have to give them anything. When I call and say, hi, I need to order balloons, they go, hi, Lee. Okay? You need to find a place. Now, if you're not going to do balloons are not cheap. I mean, it costs me like $16 every week to get a dozen balloons. And it's rare that you won't use a dozen. So Typically, I get a dozen. Every now and then, I've got one that's a 2-signer, and then I'll get a half dozen. Oh, and Amanda's here with their checkoff sheet. Amanda, if you pass that around, they've already been told about it. And thank you very much for doing that for us. Corey?
One thing I just want to mention, something I've tried that's worked out pretty well. When you're 6 and 8 signs deep, you can't afford those signs. I had my own custom signs made. But I have a QR code links to my website, and on my website it previews the thing. But right at the top, I have clickable links for Google and Apple Maps. So
Okay.
they can click on that.
Very cool.
They scan that wherever my open
Very
house
cool. I like that.
That's helped me out.
Yeah,
So you have that ability to access.
absolutely. Okay. If you don't do balloons, the other thing that we've used, I have A-frame signs. I didn't bring any. I took them out of my trunk this week, but I have A-frame signs that have a hollow leg. So you actually can put one of the windmills up. You know what I mean? The one that, we bought them for our kids. Okay. Those work. They slide right in. They last longer than balloons. You don't have to, just put one on a sign. Why are we putting balloons or windmills on our signs? Eye catches them. When I started in real estate a zillion years ago, other than 1 month a year, realtors were the only people who put up signs. Now who puts up signs? Everybody. Start a new business, put up a sign. Every store has a sign. Garage sales have a sign. There are signs everywhere, and we've become immune to the signs. We don't notice them. But if you have something with movement on your sign, then they see it. So balloons are what I use, but we've got a lot of agents that I work with that use the windmills, and they really are much more economical to just buy some of those. Go to Walmart and get a bunch of them. They last a long time. Cammie was just telling me she's got to go buy new ones, but she's used those for probably 12 months. And now she's got to go buy new ones. And I can't imagine they're more than $2 or $3. Can you? Anybody bought one of those lately? Me neither. Okay, but that would be another way. I will tell you, don't put up a sign unless you're going to put something on it with movement. It's that big a waste. They just literally don't see it. Okay? Then I want to talk to you about where you put up your signs. I know these things seem stupid, but guys, they're really not. They're important. So remember Mike Walters was doing his very first open house. And this was 7200 South. And this one had, so I get there, and he's come early to get the signs up. We'll talk about timing in a minute. So it came off of 7200 South, and this is in Cottonwood Heights. And he put a sign over here, and yet the house was here. And so they're coming in. The sign here was good. He had one on each side. So think about if I'm driving down this side of the road, I need a sign over here because that's the side I'm on. When I'm coming this way going south and the sign's over there, I need one here because this is the side I'm on. So on a busy street, you got to get them from both directions. So you got to have one on this side of the street, one on the other. Okay? So he puts one, and he puts it right here, and then he has another one here. Well, I got there, and there is this giant bush right here. And I said, how are the people coming this direction? They're never seeing your open house sign. So he had to leave the house, go out, moved one right here and another one right here, both pointing that way so that both sides of the traffic. So look at the bushes, look at the clearings. Signs can sometimes obstruct. Look for that, but you're directing them. Think about the fact that some of these people are going to come because you put it online on Wednesday, and they're just going to come and they put it in the Google Maps and they're going to make their way there. But you also have about 30% of your people who are going to come without having a map, without even having an address. They're going to come because of your signs. Make it easy for them to get there. Make them want to get there by putting polka dot balloons on. Okay? Everybody wants to go to a party. Let's go. Okay? All right. How long does it take you guys to get your signs up? Have you ever timed yourself? I mean, I know it varies from house to house, but give me an estimate of how long it takes to get the signs up. Hour and a half, half hour. Yeah. I think it's a half an hour in most cases, especially, if I'm coming in, I've got the balloons, clipped to my back seat thing, and I've got my scissors, and I've got to go in, open it, and then I got to come out and tie knots. Then I got to wait for the traffic, and then I go race across the street and put on this side and race back again and get another 2 balloons and tie, and walk down this way. And, it does take longer than you think. Okay. Now, how many of you notice that houses have cameras? Doorbell ringers? All the time. I'm sure your sellers never look at that, right? Yeah, if you're even 1 minute late, I'm going to get a call. So my goal is that for open houses where it's a grand opening, where it's the first weekend that it's being held open, you want to arrive there at least 45 minutes early so you can get all your signs up and be in the house at least 15 minutes early. I have gone to grand openings early, as I'm prescribing to you. I remember one in West Valley, and it was on a very long cul-de-sac. So it was really a street that ended in a cul-de-sac. I pulled in there, signs are all up, except for the one in the front of the house. I've got them all up. I am 15 minutes early, and I can't find a parking spot. I had 102 groups of people through that open house, and I'm here to tell you there were at least 40 of them waiting for me. Okay? So when they're brand new, or the other one I love is the person who is slowly following me and waiting patiently for me, as by the second one I'm putting up the sign and I'm waving. And then we get back in the car and they follow me. When it's a grand opening, that really is a pretty common occurrence. So again, you've got to be there in the neighborhood 45 minutes early minimum. If it's a regular open house, so it's been done 2 or 3 times or once or twice, you probably could go 30 minutes early and get your signs done and still be there in time. But you're representing who when you do an open house for someone else? Say it out loud. The seller. By law, you are representing the seller. And who are you making look bad if you come late? Yeah. And that's not to say, I've had an agent, Hannah, in my office, flat tire on her way. I mean, there are legitimate things that happen. Call the listing agent and let them know. So the listing agent can call their sellers and say, hey, I just got a flat tire. I'm on my way there. I'll be as fast as I can, but I'm going to be a few minutes late, but I got a flat tire. People understand, but they won't understand if you show up late, you just made me look bad. You will never get another invitation to do one of my open houses if you do that. So early is better. Plus, once you get in the house, what do you have to do? Turn on all the lights. What else? Open the blinds. Every blind, every curtain, open. What else? Pardon? I do not do snacks. You're welcome to. They just make crumbs in my world. Heating or AC should be on unless it's a vacant house. And my last one, every week I have to set that heating right now. In the summer, I'm sure I'll have to set the air conditioner. So good point. What else?
I like to take my own footage to post on my social media.
So you need to go way earlier the day before. Yeah. Okay. What else?
Just make sure it's tidy enough.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you get in and they had breakfast and it was toast this morning. And I can tell. Yeah, bacon. I also will carry around, especially in vacant houses, I will keep a aluminum packet filled with cinnamon and cloves. So if it's been vacant, it can, it's closed up in the winter, it can get this way where it has kind of that vacant smell. I just put that packet in the oven at 250. Remember to turn the oven off when you're done and take the packet with you. But it gives that fresh baked smell in a house that can feel kind of stale. Opening windows, unlocking all the doors, going down in the basement, making sure that's all unlocked. But yes, the one that's always the interesting is getting there and realizing, let me do a little bit of cleanup here, a little bit of prep. So don't be offended when that happens. It does occasionally happen. Okay, so that's that 15 minutes that you need to be early into the house. So signs all the way up, still need to be arriving at that house 15 minutes early because you're going to get that stuff. Yes.
I like the paper modified because I use the more electronic. I also have paper, but I just like to sign it.
Uh-huh.
So that's always been nice to have the Wi-Fi.
So Lucy, are you asking the listing agent for that ahead of time? Okay, ahead of time. Good idea. Good idea. Okay, I haven't done that, but that's a good idea. All right, anything else you have to do when you get there? Trash might need to be moved to the garage. It's sitting at the end of the counter in the kitchen. Oh, yes, thank you. Shovel snow. Yes, indeed. Yeah, yep, nope. It's really true, especially if you've got a vacant house. It's a problem. I've shoveled plenty. Okay? Make sure your seller's leaving if they're moving, leaving a shovel if you're listing in the wintertime in that garage. So you're not having to carry them. Okay. So we've all understand why we need to be there in a timely manner, right? Signs are all up. Harmon's is on, or Zurchers, or whoever you're using for balloons is on your. Go in and meet them. Okay. By the way, I've had them be not ready for me twice in the last 7 years. And both times the following week, I paid nothing. They said, leave, these are free. We screwed up last week. It's only happened twice. And the guy still works there, who was both, and he knows it. And so does his boss. So all is good, and he's always on time. Okay? All right. Let's think about the other things that we need to do. I take my balloons, and I put 2 on the main entrances, like a blue and a green and a blue and a green this weekend on both sides of the street from the main street coming in. Then the small streets inside the neighborhood on 1 balloon. And then my extra balloons, which are on a clip, I unclip from the back seat and I clip them to the clip on my sign so that they're flying in the air. This week was really hard. It was really, signs were blowing down like crazy. Yeah. And breaking balloons, which can happen. But anyways, that's what I do with the signs. Corey? Oh, kids love to acquire them, and I try really hard to give them away to every child at the end of my, end of my open house. I was in a senior 55 plus this week, so no kids that I saw, no grandkids either. But yeah, getting rid of them that way. And I'll tell you the other challenge you have with balloons, and this may be a good reason to go to do the little windmill. In the summer, in July and August, when our temperature gets over 100, your balloons will break. And I can tell when the attendance starts coming down that the balloons are probably out. I will sometimes leave the house, walk, sure enough, either the sign is blown down or the balloons have popped. But I remember a couple of summers ago, I'm sitting in the living room at an open house, and all of a sudden, pop. I'm like, what the heck? Pop. I look at my window, and I've got like 6 signs in the front of this house, between the ones up here and the ones up there. And the heat has reached that point where they are just popping. Not touching the ground, just popping. And by the way, when you tie them onto the sign, if you do balloons, they can only be about this long on the string, because if they blow down and touch a blade of grass or the cement, it will pop them. Yep. So you got, that's part of the reason why you want to do short. Okay, enough about balloons. All right. So when I get to the open house, all the lights are on, blinds are on, the air conditioning's on, all that. So Nicole, would you like to be my person walking in, please, since you just did an open house and didn't quite get all those questions asked? Yeah, just walk about 3 feet and knock on the door. Hold on, I've got to get my pen out. Somewhere in here. Can I borrow a pen? Oh, nope, there it is. There it is. Okay. All right, so come walk in. Knock on the door. Hi, come on in. Hi, I'm Lee. Nicole. Let me write this down, Nicole. I'm so terrible with names. What's your last name, Nicole?
Lavelle.
How do you spell that?
Lavell.
And your phone number.
909.
Okay.
900.
Okay.
6757.
Wonderful. Let me tell you 3 things about the house that you might not notice by walking around, and then I'll just let you walk around. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, wonderful. So the roof is 2 years old. And actually that was 3-year-old for the furnace and air conditioner got replaced. Okay. And they have added extra insulation in the ceiling. I'm just trying to come up with something. Okay. So I'll just let you walk around. And if you have any questions, I'll be here. And again, my name is Lee. And thank you, Nicole, for coming.
You're welcome.
Okay. So you can sit down now.
Thank you.
All right. So it's really funny to me. I did one a year ago, and I had a lady in my office that was shadowing. It was a grand opening, and I don't have an interest in picking up the buyers, so she came to pick up buyers. And I'm watching Emily as she's greeting the people, and I'm sitting as the backup person in the living room, and she's greeting them with a friendly hi, getting a first name, and they're just walking right by her. Okay? So honestly, stand back up again. The trick on this is really to go in and say, hi, I'm Lee. And by stopping and grabbing, and I squeeze, stopping and grabbing that hand, they stop. Okay? Tell me your name. Get the name, get the phone number, then tell them the 3 things. If you just greet them casually with, hi, come on in, they're going to just keep coming in. Okay? So you must take control, stop them, squeeze hard, hold it for just a minute. They will stay. Okay? So thank you. So I did one, so she did 3 people, didn't get a single phone number. I didn't get a single last name, and they just kept walking right by her. So I said, okay, you sit on the sofa. Let me do the next one. Let me do a refresher, because she's been doing this for years. She knows what she's supposed to do. She just was missing that. So they came in. I did the thing, took the hand, said, Bill, I'm terrible with names. What's your last name? Smith. Oh, I know how to spell that one. I love it. What's your phone number? Okay, and she went, okay. So it was just a matter of that. Well, it was funny. Once that happened, then she picked up people. And I picked up 2 listings off of that particular open house. Okay. I did one last summer, and I had just taught this class in Park City. And it was Ignite, the beginning of Ignite. And we talked very briefly in Ignite in my section on open houses. And so Ashley had sent me an email that said, can I come and shadow you on an open house someday? Or open house. And I responded back and said, as soon as you have your 200 people into your database, call me and you are welcome to come and shadow me. And she immediately responded, I have my 200 people in my command database already. I'm like, overachiever. I love this girl. So I said, here's where you need to be on Saturday at 2 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. And so she went. Well, I was already taking another agent with me because, again, I don't want the buyers. And so Allie was going to be there. So now there are 3 of us. Okay. And Allie and I and it was a busy open house. So Allie and I got in the routine. She took the first one. I grabbed the next one. We just keep rotating. And so we got through, I don't know, each of us about 6. And we said, okay, Ashley, next one's yours. And so I want to tell you about Ashley, because Ashley's now been in the business less than a year. And you call up there. I predict she'll be the rookie of the year. She has gotten listings, gotten lots of sales, and I'm not saying that's because of the open house class. I'm saying that's because she got up and did the thing she was supposed to do. And she learns, and she doesn't, she doesn't do like Emily did and skip the important step of shaking the hand. Okay, so everything I'm telling you is really for a purpose that gets you better results. Okay, so we want to do that. Okay, so you'll notice that I gave her 3 things. So this week, the agent in my neighborhood who was doing mine for me, there was another one that I arranged to do a joint open house. How many of you do joint open houses where other agents from other companies hold theirs open in the same area or the same price point? Group open houses, okay? I do them pretty often in the Salt Lake Valley. So I had invited this other agent. And so when Paula was doing the open house and I talked to her that Saturday morning, she said, here are my 3 things. And her 3 things were the roof was a 2023. The furnace and the air conditioner were also new. And her square footage of her unit versus the other unit was 450 feet bigger. So those were her things to do. So you'll want to think about what are the 3 things. Now, why would you do the 3 things?
And like try to look for it to see how it looks.
Okay, look for it. Helpful, credible and helpful. Okay, why else? Have you ever seen anybody do that to you at an open house? No. Does that make me stand out? Yeah. And are these things that they would legitimately, I don't want to say in the bathroom's been fully remodeled. No, they'll see that. So you have to find 3 things that they don't see, won't notice, or won't know is different than the others. Okay? I also believe that it means you're coming from contribution. True story, another open house I did in Sandy, I took 2 new agents and I arranged a group open, and there were 3 houses open, ours and 2 others. And so I assigned one of the girls who were shadowing to be at the front door. Her whole job was to get their name, their phone number, and give them the 3 things. And we rotated positions. We rotated through the day. Well, we had a little lag at about 2 o'clock. And I said to both the girls, both of you go and see the other 2 houses split apart. So one go there, and then switch, and then come back. And so they did. And when they came back, I said, okay, girls, conversation is this. How are they doing it differently than we're doing it? And they said, nobody greeted us. They said, come on in from another room. Never got up over the seat. Never asked them their name. Never asked them if they were a realtor. They didn't have name badges on. I said, don't identify yourself, but answer any questions they ask. Nobody asked anything. Okay? She said, the house doesn't look like this house does. Those houses have not been prepped to be visually attractive during the open house. Okay. I said, great. Now you've learned how not to do them. Okay. So I'm all about standing up. I told you the story about my folks in Pleasant Grove last summer that I sold for $1.8 million something. And they had met me 8 years ago at an open house in Linden. 8 years. And said, we left that house, Lee, and said, if we ever sell a house, we're going to call that girl. They thought it was a girl. And so anyways, they did. Now I'm helping their daughter. So bottom line is, how you act in that open house really matters. You become attractive. And if you're at my age, anything you can do to still be attractive is cool. So I work really hard on the how to be attractive stuff. And that's one of the ways. Okay. So now we say Nicole's gone into the house. I've given her the 3 things. I've got her name and number. By the way, there is no sign-up sheet at my open houses. I have sent to myself ahead of time the client view of the MLS, and it's in my email. So when they come in, if during the course of our conversation, they want a flyer, I say, gosh, I don't have one. I could email this to you before you even get out of the neighborhood. It'll be in your email. Give me your email address. Okay. So yeah, so you'll want to have that already in your packet or in your phone. Okay. Lost my train of thought. So she comes in, we do that. Okay. So we've got her name and number. We've given the 3 things. Now I'm letting Nicole wander. She can wander any way she wants, right? Okay. So let's pretend she's looking through the living room, which is kind of the room we've gotten into. And from there, she goes in the kitchen, let's say. Okay. So while she's in the kitchen and I'm still in the living room somewhere near the front door, I'm going to holler to her in the other room. So Nicole, how'd you find this open house today? You have to role play this, Nicole.
The open house, the open house sign is the
You followed my signs in. I love hearing that. So are you a neighbor?
I live like 20 minutes away.
Oh, okay. And are you just here because you happen to be driving by, or you're actually looking for a house?
I just like looking at houses.
It's a fun thing to do. I like movies better, but it's a fun thing to do. So I don't think anybody really likes looking at open houses. They might like 1 or 2, but in an average home, that's not the reason they're there. It's just the reason they give you. Okay. So now she's left the kitchen and she's gone to another room. Let's say she's gone down the hall to the bedrooms. Okay. And so I might now walk to the beginning of the hall. She's over there. I'm still over here. So how long have you been looking at open houses or looking for an open house, Nicole?
2 months.
2 months. So just kind of starting your search.
So calling to her, or did you follow?
No, I'm now closer. She can visually see me, but I'm still not close. Okay. So just starting your search. Cool. And I always have my pen in hand. So if I now might walk up to her and shake my pen and say, if I gave you my magic wand, what day would you circle on the calendar that you want to be into your new house by?
August 4th.
Cool. So like before school starts, have you got kids? No kids. So what makes August the special day?
That's when my lease is up.
Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. So you kind of see what's happening here. By the way, if I ask her when she wants to buy a house, her response is always going to be, we're not in any hurry. Okay. No rush. If I hand her my magic wand and we play a game of just pretend, she actually will tell me the truth. Okay. So you've all got a pen in hand because you're all writing down the names and phone numbers of everybody coming in. So the second question, we're visually there, is that second question, how long have you been looking? And you see where it made us go into another series of questions. Okay. So now I'm still standing in the hall, but now I'm down by her and she's gone in that 1 bedroom. And now she's going to be popping into the other bedroom, and I'm going to ask the next question, which, what was it about this house or this area that made you stop by today, Nicole?
I really liked the neighborhood. I saw kids playing, and I love seeing kids playing outside. It makes me happy.
Cool. It's a great neighborhood. I've talked to a lot of the neighbors, and they love, love, love it here. Love, love, love it here. Okay. So she's going to wander into another room. Okay. Or maybe we'll go downstairs. Should we go downstairs and check out the basement?
Sure.
Okay, great. So now we're going to go downstairs, and maybe now I'm leading. And we go down the stairs, and while we're going down the stairs, as I get near the bottom, I'm going to ask the next question. And that next question is going to be, Nicole, do you already have your golden ticket in your purse? So that's that pre-approval letter from your lender that says you can buy. And I know that you're not in a hurry and that August is your month, but truthfully, you need to have that in order to be able to be powerful if you ever decide to write an offer on this or any other property. And I'm assuming if you find one you love, that you want to be powerful and in a position to win that house, don't you? Okay. If you don't have one, I'd be happy to help you with that. In other words, I can call my lender Mandy right now and have her give you a call. It's not an obligation. She'll do it over the phone and then she'll email it to me. And all I ask of you is that you print it out and put it in your purse and keep it with you. Can you do that? Okay, let's call Mandy. Mandy's on speed dial also. Mandy, I'm here with Nicole Lavelle. With Nicole Lavelle at my open house. She doesn't have a golden ticket. Can I give you her phone number and maybe call her in 30 minutes? That way she and I can get through the house. Okay, cool. So her phone number is 909-900-6757. Her email? Yeah. What's your email address?
Nicole Ashley Lavelle at gmail.com.
Nicole Ashley Lavelle at gmail.com. Yeah, and if you'll just send her that golden ticket after you've gotten her pre-approved, that would be great. Thank you so much, Mandy. Okay, so when Mandy calls you in 30 minutes, you're going to answer that call, right? Okay, good girl. Okay, so we stop and do all of that right there. Okay, now, nice thing is my lender now gets all the information about her. Okay, so we don't have to worry about my getting any more of that. So now we're going to look at the family room in the basement and take a peek at that. And then I'm going to ask you the other question, and that is, Nicole, who's helping you with your search for this perfect home by August? Bill Smith. Okay, great. And what company is Bill with? I don't know him, but good company. Okay, okay. All right, wonderful. Well, I want you to call Bill when we get done and let him know that you're getting a pre-approval letter, getting emailed to you. Have you told him August 4th is your date? Have you shared that with him?
Yes, Bill, my date is August.
All right. And if I think of another house that might fit for you, do you want me to call Bill with that? So he can show it to you? Okay, perfect. So she has an agent. She had a first and last name. I assume she's got it signed because she could give me a name. She even knew what company he was with. Okay? When she leaves, I'm calling Bill. Looking him up. Bill, your client Nicole just came in, the one that wants to buy a house by August. And I think she likes the house. And I didn't know she was working with the realtor, so I had my lender, Mandy Montague, at Arbor Financial, giving her a call for a golden ticket. So if you need to make a change on that, let me know. But she didn't have a golden ticket. And so I wanted to make sure that she did, so she could be in a position of power when you find her the right house. Okay? So I'm going to say all that to him. Okay? I have gone so far as I had a guy in West Jordan once, and I said to him, the first question, how long have you been looking? And he said 6 months. And I went, stand up. It doesn't work with your sitting down. Okay. So he told me 6 months, and I went, that hurts my heart that you have been looking for 6 months, because prices have gone up a lot in that 6 months. What is stopping you? And that's exactly what I said. And he said, I had a bad realtor, and now I have a good realtor. And I said, who is your good realtor? And he said, Cameron Burnside. And I said, when do you want to be in a house buy? And he said, I want to buy a house now. I got on my phone. Cameron's on speed dial. Put all your agents, everybody you know, on speed dial. I called and I said, Cameron, I'm sitting here with, can't remember what his name was now, and he wants to buy a house in the next 2 weeks. And he said, you're great. He had a bad realtor and you're his good realtor. And I want to know, are you committed to finding a house in the next 2 weeks? And he said, Lee, we'll do it. And so I said, Bill, he's ready. He'll be calling you. Cameron called me back and went, what the hell was that? And I said, that was me at an open house with your client. Now go sell him a house. And they did. They sold him a house within 2 weeks. Nobody had told him it cost him $30,000 to wait. And I did. At that time, prices were going up so much and offers were beginning to happen that his delay was a $30,000 delay. And that, first time home buyer, that really made my heart sick. Okay? So you have to be careful on touches, but I do find touches,
Like a physical touch.
yes, touches right here men or women, touches right here seem to be fine. They were fine, right? Yeah. So nobody seems to get offended. They reach the point I can squeeze. I am somebody who is touchy, but you have to be careful how you're touchy. So that's how I'm touchy. If there's something that really hits my heart, then I'm probably going to touch them on that arm. Okay. If I find another house that would work for you, would you like me to give you a call? I think I may have told you my story about Veronica and Stan coming into my open house in Immigration Canyon years ago. And they said their realtor was out of town. And so they were just here for the weekend looking. And so they looked through my house. My house wasn't a right fit. And I asked all the questions. And they gave me their agent's first name. And I said, if I think of something else, do you want me to call you or your agent? They said, call me because she's out of town. I said, okay. So I did. As I'm sitting there at this open house, I thought, well, there's this other house I've got coming. So I called them back and said, I've got a house. It's not on the market yet. You can't get into it, but you might want to look at this neighborhood just as another neighborhood to consider, because they were coming from California. And so then on Monday, and so they said, great, thanks. And they, I'm sure, drove past the house. Then on Monday, Stan called and said, can you show us this other house up by the zoo? And I said, shit, I wish their agent would get in town. And so I said, it was a vacant house. I looked it up and I said, yeah, I can meet you over there. And I've done that as a service to other agents, so it's okay. I get there and Stan meets me in the driveway and says, so just so you know, we told all the agents we met this weekend that we have a realtor. We really don't. Veronica likes you and she makes all the decisions. And I said, thank you, Stan. And I went and met with Veronica and we bought a house. Not that house, but a different house. So, you still treat them like they have another agent. Treat them as you would want someone to be treating you. I've written offers for other agents whose clients want the house and they're out of town. Do that. Help them. Okay. I call their broker and say, who in the office can write this for them? Because they want to buy this and Claire's out of town. So do all of that. Now, how did those questions feel as we were going through the asking of the questions, the 5 questions? Pardon? Say it out loud. Great.
That's a question.
Yes.
When you're saying that, like, if they really do have an agent, like you got,
Right.
how being shown another house now with the whole agency agreement?
Well, I can't. This was a time ago that we didn't have that. And this was a time ago that we did not have that. Now, let's answer her question in a way that works. What could you do if they want to see another house? They want to see this other house. Say it loud. Call the broker or the other agent and say, I'm sitting here with Nicole and there's a house that you guys have that I know about that's nearby and she wants this neighborhood. My house isn't right. Have you got somebody in the office that could show that to Nicole? Now, it might be that Nicole could wait. My client, Veronica and Stan, literally were there for the weekend. Yeah. But I would have called that other agent. I would have called the listing agent or the agent but I would. Now I can't. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, I did show one. It was one of your office's listings in my neighborhood. And I called the agent and it was a vacant house in a key box. And it was Dan Kennedy's. And he said, Lee, go show it. And I said to the people, I am not representing you. You already have your agent. But I called the listing agent and he said I could go check the house out. So I'm going to check the house. And if I leave the door open, you wander in, that's on you. They bought that house through their agent. And Dan was the listing agent on it. So I did do that. Did I break the rules? I called.
Are you okay for a workaround?
Yeah, give me a workaround.
You can sign a one-day buyer broker agreement for a specific property. The buyer should be obligated to pay their other agent, but you're going to say, I'm going to take zero compensation. I'm just open to do it.
Oh, great workaround. Okay.
That way you're compliant. It's $1,000 fine.
Right.
MLS enforces it, and it would be if Dan was complaining to you showing a property.
Right. But I'd already talked to Dan, so that part I knew I was good on. The other agent was really gone. And they're nice new neighbors. I like having them. I stopped and visited with them again this week, so I got new neighbors out of it. It was in my neighborhood. Probably not, but they're my neighbors, so I'll pick them up as neighbors. So that means in your buyer packet or not your buyer, in your open house packet, you need to put one buyer broker agreement for that property. That's a really good point. Yes.
I'd like to know what else you have available to you
Mhm.
when you go to open houses.
Really, it's a printout of the MLS printout of the house. That's all I have. That's
and
it.
Your BBA for just in case.
Now I would. I mean, I did do that, and that is a true story of how it happened. But I did, try to do it in a way. I wasn't there to interfere. I never would have written the offer. Yeah, period. And I was very clear with them about I'm not interfering with the agency, and I can go over and see that house, and if I leave the door unlocked and I'm there, you're welcome to walk in. But please know that I am not writing an offer for you. I do not represent you, and I don't represent that seller. Yes.
Real quick, when you do like door knocking,
Mhm.
the day before for like all the neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the little script I included on here too.
So
Yeah.
like, I had an open house Saturday. I was
Mhm.
with someone else.
Okay.
And I door knocked 50 neighbors, and I
Okay.
put out little invitations.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
I got one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
When did you do the door knocking?
I did it on Friday.
Yeah. There's the problem. Already has plans and all of that. You created no extra hype. When do you need to do your door knocking? Wednesday. Okay. That way they can go to work and tell a friend who works with them, hey, there's a house in my neighborhood. You should come and see it. Or, oh, my daughter, I'm going to call my daughter and have her come and see it. But you gave them no opportunity. If they, on Friday, and was probably left on the door on Friday, which means they probably didn't even see it till Saturday. Yeah. Too late. Good idea, but too late. Better idea would be just use that script and call all the neighbors. Have that conversation with them and see who they want to invite. I had 2 neighbors come through my other open house on Sunday or Saturday. And, they're not looking to buy, but I said to John, and then I said to whatever her name was, Debbie, so I love that you came, and you need to know you are now on a mission. Your job, and you are accepting it, is to find a great new neighbor. Will you do that for me? And they both said yes. Okay? So give them a job. Help them go out and find. I mean, all of us have had people come to our house and go, I love this neighborhood. Oh, I love your house. Oh, this is a great location. Oh, look at all the kids in the neighborhood. This is such a fun place. You have kids. They've all said this stuff about your house. They say this about everybody's houses that they go to. Let them bring those people in. In my case, they know other old people that are going to downsize. That's who we're looking for on that one. Okay? So you want to do that. The other thing that I find with the questions is they're not the questions that most people ask, or they're not the things that most other realtors say to them. And they create more opportunity for more questions and discussion about what's going on. Okay? And I mean, there were lots of ways I could have added to our conversation with Nicole. And she likes having kids in the neighborhood. She doesn't have kids. So how many bedrooms does she need? And someday is she thinking she'll have kids? Or do you have lots of nieces and nephews that you like to be Aunt Fabulous to? And do they come over? And, there's just lots of opportunity in talking. How is the commute to your work versus where you live now? Where do you live now? Do you have a house to sell now? I mean, there were so many more questions that we would go on. Here's what really drives me crazy, though, is when somebody comes in and they say they have an agent, the person coming in says they have an agent, and I watch realtors, us, suddenly go, okay, well, if you have any questions, just ask. And they flip and ignore them. It's like they only mattered if maybe you were interested in this house or maybe you didn't have a realtor. You're representing the seller when you are in that house, and your job is to sell that house. And that means treating every single buyer, whether they have a realtor or not, exactly the same. Provide the same service, the same care. And then go one step farther and call Bill and say, Bill, your client's Nicole just came through my open house, wanted to give you a heads up.
If they ask you, like when you're asking, oh, do you have a realtor?
I don't ask, do you have a realtor? How do I ask? Thank you. That's how we ask that, Nicole.
And then what if, like, if they ask why you're asking that, they're like, oh, I just like to extend the courtesy, let them know, like, you're looking at this property. Or
No, nobody will ever ask you that. There's your answer.
Wait, ask what?
The question I said to her, or she said to me, how long, who's helping you with that? And I said, what do you want me to say? No one or Mary? Oh, they're never going to say why. Do you want to know that? They're never.
But people are probably nicer to you.
Yes.
Like a lot of these things, I don't know if I could pull that off because I don't have the gusto.
Oh, do you know where the gust? Do you know where?
It's
You know where the?
my attitude.
Okay. Do you know where the gusto came from? It came from practicing it over and over and over for 20 years. That little 3x5 card with those questions stayed in the palm of my hand. This hand, actually, because this one has my magic wand. Stayed in the palm of my hand so that I never missed a question. Over and over and over, repetition. Now, do you care if a buyer comes in and it's costing him $30,000 because he's waited? Do you care? Do you say anything to them? Do you express your thoughts, or do you keep it to yourself and think, wow, what an idiot he's been? Okay, there's the difference. Okay? I mean, really, if you want to help enough people get what they want, it really changes your attitude. If I'm just there to pick up a client, like the lady who came through at the open house that Emily was doing, and then Denise came in, and I visited with her, and she said, I am moving to Idaho. I'm building a new house in Idaho. And her house was a block away on Beverly. And I said, well, if you'd like at some point, I'd be happy to come over and tell you, happy to come over and talk to you about that, is I think what I said. And she said, well, I'm going to talk to 3 realtors. And I said, that's great. I'd love to earn the right to be one of the 3. But I'll tell you, if the house isn't going to be done till November, which she had told me, I think you would be really smart to have me come over now and talk to you about what you need to do in the house to net you the most amount of money. She said, oh, well, that'd be good. So I came over like 2 days later, and we just listed the house. But she was smart to get all that done. We did get top dollar on her house because she did all that. But again, are you thinking that way? Well, and maybe just role play and do it more often. Like I said, for 20 years, I was carrying the card. They didn't see it, but it was in my hand for 20 years. Every year I'd have to reprint a new one because it would be so wrinkled from being in the purse. I would show it to you, except I changed purses last night and I didn't move it. But I mean, it really is a recipe card that has the questions on it. So if you just commit to do that, it'll change what's the conversations.
Talk to the one, do your whole spiel.
Yes.
It's like I've had a house that works like everybody sit down and walk, man.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Right. So that is hard, and you'll notice in my discussions I have shared with you how often I have another agent there. It is pretty often. If I know I'm going to have, like the one in Pleasant Grove for 1.8, I had 3 of us there. One on the outside, one on the downstairs, and then one greeting. Dividing and conquering, and I'll switch roles so everybody has a fair chance. Now, if it's my listing, great. But I mean, I do switch roles. If I'm doing a condo, how many of you have, I don't know how many high-rise condos you guys have, but it's not like we got a fair number. So you got to have somebody down to greet them, open the security door, get them in the elevator with the code to get them upstairs. So that's the only job. So I'll do upstairs and somebody's here, and then after an hour we'll switch, and then you need a third person to take them to tour the gym, the pool hall, the gaming room, all the stuff. So it's not uncommon to need multiple people. But I do always rotate them around. And truthfully, I'm never there for the buyers. So for me, I'm happy if another agent's there and they got all the buyers. I want the listings, but you can have the buyers. And if you're doing my open house and I'm not there, you're getting everything. Okay? That's what you're hoping for. And Chris McGee will tell you that is a good thing in my office because he ended up closing, I think, 12 his first year in open houses alone. And he still does open houses for me. He picked up 2 weeks ago on one of my open houses. Okay? So having this kind of conversation is probably good. Using these questions, that will probably, in your concern about sounding like me, if you're following these questions, the discussions are probably going to be different than the discussions you've been having.
Yeah.
By virtue of the questions. And if you want, take those questions, those 6 questions, and come up with sub-questions. Because there will be. One thing leads to the next. You know, whether it's how long have you been looking? It's 6 months. It's like, oh my gosh, that hurts my heart. Now I have to have a whole nother discussion about, you know, why this is a problem and why this is costly and why this isn't smart. And yeah, so sub-questions can work. Nicole?
So I have on my open house I have like a little fact sheet.
Yes.
I get their phone number.
Yes.
And some of these questions are not actually on there. Do you feel like that still works, or what you're saying where you just ask it and kind of write it down?
Well, how many houses have you sold using your little sheet?
Well, I mean that was like my first time doing open house.
Okay. All right, let's ask the group. How many of you have sold a house using the little sheet that they sign in? Okay. 1 MLS printout, not 2. 1. It's in your hand only. If I have Bill coming and helping me, I'll make 2 so Bill can have his own. But the clients don't get one. I email one to them. That gets me their email address. Okay? Yeah. I don't use the sheets, and I don't. I'm not saying you can't, Nicole. You can do any darn thing you want at your open house. But as far as getting into relationships with people, you've got 10 or 15 minutes to do it, and that's it. So let's go to, before you walk out, I need to answer your question. I know you have to leave, and I didn't. We got sidetracked. So I will, if I have multiples in there and I don't have multiple people, I'm going to stay in the position of the greeter, getting names, addresses, and phone numbers every time. And then I will try to do some discussion with them. I will sometimes excuse myself from Bill. I've got to go check on them and go check on them. And I do the back and forth. Best advice, though, is get more than one person there, even if that person is a lender, somebody else there. It doesn't even need to be a buyer. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Bill?
I have a question for you about the door knocking.
Uh-huh.
Dumb question, probably. But I did an open house a couple weeks ago, and every single door in that neighborhood had a no soliciting sign on it.
Oh.
Now, I'm not selling anything.
Right.
So I thought, could go ahead and knock on that door, but I felt I didn't want to.
So I knock on every door that says that. Here's my knock. I come to the door and I say, I saw your no solicitation and we're not selling anything today. I'm giving you an opportunity to choose your new neighbor. The Johnsons, Bob and Carol, asked me to reach out to you and let you know, in case you know somebody who's wanting to move into the neighborhood. We're going to have it open, matter of fact, for the neighbors, Saturday, 10:30 to 11, before the public comes. We have a little sneak peek. Love to have you and your friends there. Acknowledge the sign. If you say, I see your no soliciting sign, thank goodness I'm not selling anything, then they'll be fine. If you don't acknowledge their sign, they will look at you like, dumb. You don't see that sign? But if you say it to them, then they're fine. Okay? Yes.
Flyers or anything on
Yes, for neighbors for group open house. Yeah, sneak peek. Yep.
Do you on that do you link to like the listing or there any
Yeah, I wish I was that good. That would be Corey. I'm not that good. Okay, technology is not my strong suit, so I don't. I also am, I really mean it sincerely when I say to Nicole that the conversation we have, that's what's building the difference. I get 10 or 15 minutes to make a relationship. So it's all about the questions and the interaction with people. Okay? All right, give me a few ahas and then we're out of here. What was your aha? Yes.
My aha was just you're not even doing the sign in the kitchen thing on
Yep.
the computer. You're just totally
No.
doing it face to face and
Yeah.
by the end.
And I'm writing it down the old-fashioned way. Yeah. Yeah. And they all give it to me. Every single one gives it to me. It's weird.
Yeah, I have to agree. And like having you write down the information
Yeah.
is way more powerful than say, hey, well, there's the sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
Because like, guess
Never
what?
gonna do it.
Phone numbers and emails.
Yeah.
Just put their names.
Exactly. Exactly. Corey.
The whole point of that is, like Murray mentioned, is building a relationship. That's what you're there for.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when I listen to the veteran agents, because I'm definitely not a veteran agent. It's always the attitude that the veterans have is they're not there to make money.
Yeah.
They're not there. It's always about the clients. And like she made the point, every single person who comes to the door, no matter if they have an agent.
It doesn't.
9 out of 10 times, maybe 8, 7, who knows? You might become that agent because of how you treated them. You actually got to know them. You cared to write the phone number down, not send them to something that's easy and lazy. Is that you like to be pushed off in a relationship? No.
Yeah. For those of you who are willy-nilly sending those houses out to the other people, I'll just say thank you because I'm probably picking those people up. I mean that. I get that all the time. It's a problem. It's a problem. All right, other ahas. No ahas from this side, Nicole?
When I went door knocking for my open house, if I saw the no soliciting, I was like, I had to Google it. I was like, if I'm door knocking for an open house, is that considered soliciting? And Google said yes. So I didn't I ignored those, but I like your approach to it.
Yeah, they're not probably going to buy that house. We're really there because they may know somebody, and so I'm not selling them anything. But do say I see your sign, and thank goodness I'm not soliciting, or I'm not selling anything. Yes.
I like that you're active not as the getting leads, and that you're actually trying to surprise people because they're usually probably not even talked to by their agent when they go to open house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the two girls discovered when they went and visited the other two open houses. And I didn't know them, had no idea what it would be, but it was funny that they both came back and said, whoa, this is way different than either of those two. And by the way, we sold ours and theirs stayed on the market a long time after mine got sold. Yeah, care about the people, treat them right, have an energy about you. And remember, you're making me look good or bad. So make me look good. I'm unforgiving if somebody makes me look bad. Okay.
Will you re-say the door knocking approach with the no soliciting?
Oh, sure. Just, I always, on my any knocks, it's always the friendly knock. And when they come to the door, I go, hi, I'm Lee. I see your no solicitation sign. I'm not selling anything today. Your neighbors, Bob and Carol Johnson, about 4 doors down, asked me to stop by, give you an opportunity to choose your new neighbor. Matter of fact, we're going to do a sneak peek just for the neighbors this Saturday from 10:30 to 11, and I wanted you to think about who you know that you'd like to have as a neighbor and invite you to bring them on down during that time before the public comes to see it. Simple.
I also like what here it says, we know that you want to be aware that anything impacts your property value. Just because in my neighborhood, everybody's watching every house that's being sold and wondering how it's going to affect them, and one is hitting and the rest are like.
That one came from a guy. I was cold calling a neighborhood, not door knocking it, but cold calling it. So I'm calling and I got some grump. And I'm so sick and tired of all you realtors calling and blah, 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 blah. And I said, I am so sorry. I assumed that, like your other neighbors, when I called them, that you wanted to know about anything that might impact the value of your home. and I apologize for disturbing you. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm calling because I've listed your neighbor's house. I'm holding it open, wanted to invite you to come down and see it and maybe bring a friend that you know would like to live in the area. And truthfully, I plan on calling everyone back after I've sold it and letting them know how much I sold it for, but I won't call you because you've asked me not to, unless you want me to. And he said, I want you to. And I said, then I will. Okay? So that's really why I put that in there, because I've had that happen.
Are you getting these phone numbers from the title company, or
Yeah,
okay,
I am.
and you just get a
Yeah.
half mile around
Yeah.
house or whatever?
Yeah. I can't door knock in my neighborhood. It's against the little rules, as you know. But yeah. So, and really, door knocking works great. I'm not discouraging door knocking. Please door knock. But door knocking is a fair weathered kind of event. I do open houses year round. So cold, snow, rain, I still need to do open houses. You had your hand up. Yes.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I just moved
Wait.
my hair.
Oh,
You've answered so many.
that counts. That counts. So did you videotape yourself yet doing your listing presentation? So we talked about this, and I don't think you were in the class when we did. Just videotaping yourself giving the presentation, because all of us have different little tics that we do. Mine are my hands that go crazy. Yours might be.
It very well might be.
It might be a hair thing that can be distracting. I haven't noticed it, but you said it, so I'm like, check and see if you do it. It could be. It could be. Okay, we're out of here, guys. It's been a nice month with you. Get those practices done. Do we have the sheet that's gone around? Where is that sheet? You got it back there? Okay, good. I need to make a copy of it before I go, and I'll call those of you who want to do open houses as soon as I can. And I'll be checking on you to make sure you're following along in the questions and not, doing it your way.